Hey everyone, it's Andrew Nagel, Valk9 Designs, and I'm back with the next part of the Start to Finish Hybrid series. This is the outer details. This is where we attach the outer lines that we'll use to build the wire portion of this design onto the frame. So here we are with the piece that we finished in the last tutorial. I'm just kind of sizing out this small piece that I'm thinking of putting on the bottom. If you're going to be adding any sort of back detailing, you need to make sure you file down the edges of that metal piece before you attach it to your frame. After you attach it, you're not really going to be able to, fine tune those edges because it'll be soldered to the whole piece. Here I am attaching first off the top plate here, which has my 925 stamp and also my maker's mark on it. I'm using my little titanium poker thing just to get the pieces right where I want them. It's generally a better idea to place your pieces where you want them before you start heating the piece, but sometimes your flux will bubble up and push those sheet pieces around, so it's good to have one of these pokers to help push stuff back into place once it's moved out of the spot that you want it to be in. So attaching that first top piece using medium solder, and then I'm attaching this bottom piece using medium solder as well. Fusing those onto the frame, and then once that is all attached, we can saw off those extra parts and file down those edges, so that way this whole piece is back into the original shape that we wanted. So file off those edges. I'm not going to show that here because it's kind of boring, but after you've filed off your edges and got your piece in the shape that you need it to be, you're ready to add on your extra detailing. Here I am using 13 gauge half round wire to attach to the bottom of the piece and in the center part. I always like to get a good kind of basic shape going for these pieces before I add them to the frame. I like to clip off my ends and then also make sure that the ends are going to be flush against the bezel or wherever you're going to be attaching them. If these lines aren't flush with each other when the solder fuses to it, they'll look a bit sloppy, kind of like a bad soldering job, on a bigger metal frame or something like that. So you really want these edges to be flush and touching each other when you attach them. I've already attached that inner wire, but it's going to be the same process for all of these wires as well. You're going to want to get your frame somewhere secure on your honeycomb block or whatever it is you're using to solder, and then you're going to attach your flux to your pieces, and then you're going to heat and apply the solder. Again, if you're wanting a more in-depth tutorial about this whole process, please search up the soldering tutorials on this page. You can use the search bar to search Valk9 Designs soldering if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Patreon, just type in soldering into the post search bar and you will find all of my soldering videos. I've gone over it so many times. There's a lot of useful information in those soldering videos as well, including the Riogrande item numbers for everything you need for your soldering setup. After you get those lines attached to the frame, you're ready to make your final adjustments to that line to really get it into the shape and space that you want it to be. You're going to have to do these adjustments now before you add your thinner wire, because after you add your thinner wire and do your detailing, you can't really make adjustments to these, outer lines that really form the whole design of the piece. So you want these to be where you want them to be before you start doing your 30 gauge wrapping. So I'm making my minor curves. I'm kind of just bolstering this out a little bit so that way it's a bit more curvy on the side, a bit more of a smooth line instead of like an abrupt folding down into the point. And then I'm also using my nylon coated pliers to help bend this half round wire into the shape that I want it to be and to bring that half round curve kind of to the top of this. So I'm using that to flatten down that curved edge and to bend it back so that way this dome part is displayed all the way on the top. After you cut off your ends, that's where I will attach this back to the frame. We're ready to continue soldering. I'm adding on my last line on the left part of the piece. I will be using some wires to fill in the detail spaces between these lines, but that will be in the next video when we do the finer wire detailing. So now I'm adding more heat and more solder to the frame, and I'm using my little, I think it's tungsten, I forget it's tungsten or titanium, I can't remember, I'm pretty sure it's tungsten, but I'm using this little poker to bring the solder where I want it to be. And remember, solder flows where the heat is going, so if you need the solder to flow up, you want more heat on the top part instead of heat on the bottom part. The solder will flow towards the heat, so wherever you need it to fuse, that's where you're wanting the heat to go. Making some more final adjustments on this left side line, bringing out the line and also forming that curve a bit more, just like we did on the other side. I want this to be a more like feminine kind of esque feeling piece, and so I want it to have kind of these wide curves, just to kind of open up that middle bottom space of this design. After I'm getting my final curves into place, this is starting to look really, really good. It's starting to look like we're about at the point where we can add our 30 gauge wires. That will be in the next edition of this tutorial. Just trying to keep these a bit shorter so that way it's not like a 40-minute tutorial for everyone. But yeah, and also it's a bit more digestible if it's broken up into these smaller pieces, I find. So thank you all so much. If you enjoy this, please leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will gladly go in depth over more portions of these if you're on my Patreon channel. Again, only the Patreon members get to request content. Sorry if you're on YouTube, you're going to have to join Patreon if you want that benefit. So thank you all so much, and I hope you have a great week and have a creative one too.